Guys, welcome back. I wanted to begin by thanking everybody who watched us last time, and I wanted to mention all the people who watched us from different countries. We have people from United States, from India, United Kingdom, Canada, Australia, Malaysia, and Pakistan. And we are growing in double digits, and it's all because of your support. So if you like this kind of programming, please consider subscribing, and let's begin. So today we're gonna talk about three things. The first thing is Trump's state visit. It's a second state visit, and it's a $42 billion prosperity pact. Very interesting, and we're going to talk about it in details. The second one, it's also about United Kingdom, protest and polarization in UK. And the third one, it's the global right-wing surge, and it's related to the assassination of very tragic assassination of Charlie Kirk. We're gonna touch on it briefly. So let's talk about it. In preparing for this video, I prepared very interesting, beautiful slides, and let's show you. I'll show you how that state visit looks. So look at that. President Trump is Melania and King Charles and his wife. Look at that. The pictures are very beautiful, and they had a beautiful procession. They had carriages and a lot of horses. I love that kind of stuff. And it also calls the point, whether you like or dislike certain things, you have to start by accepting it. In other words, some people like and some people dislike United Kingdom, but so what? There's a monarchy, there's a lot of tradition, and they do things in a certain way. I find it visually very beautiful, and it's interesting that you can see ceremonies maybe 100 years ago, 200 years ago. That's how they met state guests, so that they continue that tradition. So we have to respect it, because today you see in the news a lot of negativity, oh, we like this guy, we don't like that guy, we like this political leader. But also you have to respect, and you have to begin by acknowledging what is there. So let's look at the slides and let's take a look what else happened there. So they had kind of a military parade. President Trump was there. The King of United Kingdom is there. More pictures, official pictures with Prime Minister. And the tech prosperity deal. So that's a big deal, and a lot of people didn't understand what it's all about. So basically, United Kingdom, it used to be the huge empire with a lot of colonies. And there's a funny map which exists about the countries which were conquered by United Kingdom. And I think there are maybe 10 countries in the world which at some point here or there were not conquered by United Kingdom. So United Kingdom was a huge maritime power. They had ships and they had gunships and they can send, and there was diplomacy. At some point, India and Pakistan was under their protectorate. They were colonies. So in other words, and after World War II, a lot of countries became independent. So now England doesn't have all those colonies, but still what they retain is banking infrastructure. And England has one of the best intelligence in the world. A lot of times you see news, people are saying, oh, Israeli intelligence, they can do this operation or that. But United Kingdom, it's much older. If you ever had friends which went to Venice, Venice today is a beautiful small country. You can take the boat rides and it looks nice. But Venice used to be like United Kingdom, maybe 300 years ago. And they had super developed intelligence. They can reach and they can do things in very delicate but very kind of serious way. So at some point, a lot of intelligence community from Venice went to England, and they started a lot of universities and they developed a lot of intelligence networks. So United Kingdom during World War II and after that and before that, they even had the term big game. For 100 years, there was confrontation with Russia. And before the World War II, they were trying to play different sides. So this tech deal, and I'm going to bring back the pictures. United States will invest $42 billion. And they're going to build, but it's not just investment in, let's say, building a plant which will assemble iPhones. No, it's not like that. And Apple founder was there, and Apple was there. There were 160 captains of industry from the United States. But this tech deal was focused on artificial intelligence. The revolution, Nvidia will provide the supercomputers. with special GPU and chips which are specially designed to accelerate artificial intelligence. And a lot of other American companies will be there to provide the software. And also they're talking about civilian nuclear power to build nuclear reactors in England to power all that, because all those artificial intelligence, they need a lot of power. And also they were talking about quantum computers. Quantum computers, they deal in, instead of zeros and ones, they have a state in between. So quantum computers, it's the revolution. Already Google and different companies are working on that. And once you have a quantum computer, let's say if you have some kind of military installation and they encrypt their data, and usual computers can take, I don't know, 100 years to break those encryption keys. Quantum computers can do it in a few minutes. So in other words, quantum computers will take a human capability to process information to the next level. And it's not going to be like twice faster. No, it's going to be 100 times better, right? So that coupled with artificial intelligence algorithms will provide the new very powerful technology. And who will control that technology will control the world. And again, like if you're talking artificial intelligence, we're not just talking about ChatGPT and how you can use it to help your kids to do homework. No, it's like that's a side effect. Artificial intelligence will be used to power drones and to do a lot of things which are very serious. And military is probably going to be the first application of that. So if we go back to slides. You see, Nvidia was there. Nvidia providing hardware and software to power then the revolution in artificial intelligence. So what are we talking about? United Kingdom used to be a huge empire. But once they lost colonies, in Europe, economies are not doing great. And that's also the problem for United Kingdom. The economy can do much better. And they're borrowing money and the debt is rising. Debt in America is rising astronomically. So the intelligence and the banking industry of the United Kingdom and all the old connections and technical giants from United States and military might of the United States and political power of the United States emerging. So we are seeing the Anglo-Saxon axis. And they're probably doing it because they need to go to the next level. And Trump administration several times said that China is the biggest enemy they see, or at least opponent, maybe not an enemy, but at least geopolitical opponent. And I'll give you the list of companies which were there. Microsoft is spending $22 billion on artificial intelligence and the cloud. Google is spending $5 billion on a new data center. Nvidia is supplying 100,000 of GPUs to build the supercomputers. So they're going to be very powerful center. And the goal is to make Britain a central hub in the global AI and quantum computing race, strengthening US and UK leadership against rivals like China and Russia. So this is what we see in. We see in a geopolitical partnership. There was always a partnership, and you can see the speeches of the king, you can see the speeches of President Trump, and they're talking about the long history since foundation of United States. United States was a colony of United Kingdom at some point. They remember that history. And at some point there was opposition, but now they're friends and they're allies, but they're strengthening that relationship and they're building that to the next level. And the companies which were there is Apple Computer, Microsoft, OpenAI, that's ChatGPT company, Nvidia, they're providing chips, Google, they're providing the next quantum computer and a lot of their technologies. BlackRock, that's probably one of the largest financial company in the world. They own a lot of resources and a lot of stocks. That's a very powerful company, BlackRock. Bank of America, Citigroup, Blackstone, Shell, British Petroleum, ARM Computing. So British Petroleum, Palantir. Palantir is very interesting and important company. They provide a lot of software for the military and intelligence community. So Palantir is very important and strong. And so we are seeing the birth of the new alliance. And if you want to see an example of how important England even today, in 2022, as an example, there were negotiations in Ukraine. the war started, and there were like negotiations in Turkey. In Turkey, they were trying to negotiate the peace deal, and Boris Johnson he came to Ukraine, and he spoke to President of Ukraine Zelensky, and he said like, why do you want to make deal with Russians? We're gonna fight with them. We're gonna fight with them, and we're gonna win. We're gonna provide you all the weapons, everything. Entire European community and British Empire will be behind you. So it's gonna be great. And they decided to do it. So the war still continues. That's a very sad story, but that's an example how powerful and how important England is, and how many connections they still have, and how they can influence the politics in Europe. So that's an example. Let's see what else we have. Let's look at other news. The second point is protest and polarization, United Kingdom. So the official news are talking about 100,000. That Tony Robinson and his organization Reform UK, they brought about 100,000 people, but in reality they're talking it's much more. They're talking about probably like it could have been like 1 million people, and basically they're protesting against the migration. They're protesting about that migration, that migrants they have. A lot of them from the countries where Islam is the official religion. So they're concerned that the more Christian country like England, the values are going to be different. So in other words, they're accepting people who may not be able to assimilate. And I'll give you a personal example. At some point, I went on a business trip for a month. I was supposed to be doing training in a business in Sweden, in Stockholm, right? And at some point after work, everybody decided, let's go to a restaurant and celebrate. And there was a large restaurant, and there were like billiards, and people were celebrating. And I knew that even at that time, that was maybe 5 years ago, there were talk about migrants, and some of them are not assimilating in Sweden, and Sweden might have problems. But what I saw with my own eyes, there were a couple of families from Syria. And but I saw that they learned the language. I saw that they have friends from Sweden. I'm not sure if they're Christian or Muslim, but that's irrelevant in that situation. They're beautiful people. They're part of the culture. They're in a restaurant with their family. They're playing billiards. They're communicating with local people. They became part of that. So from my point of view, there is no problem with migrants or migration or their culture or their religion, as long as you accept it in numbers where people can become part of the society. And it's the same everywhere. You can look at France, you can look at United States, you can look at United Kingdom. So I'm just expressing you my position. From the spiritual point of view, we all children of one God. And yes, on earth there are different religions. We have to respect it. Each religion has its own historical, negative and positive. The history of bloody wars, the history of crusades, and the history of conflicts in the Middle East. But what you're gonna do? Today, most people live in peace and they can coexist peacefully. And the third one is we want to talk about is the conflict between ideologies of the right and the left, of the traditional and kind of socialist and liberals. And the tragic story that in the United States, Charlie Kirk was assassinated, and he was assassinated while he was on a college campus. He was trying to invite people to discuss. So that's another problem I see. If people are using violence, if they cannot discuss different things peacefully, it's going to be a problem. And God forbid those things, they can lead to civil war. Because what was he doing? He was trying to invite people to debate. Any topic you can bring, immigration, human rights, whatever it is, and he was open to debates. But if people are not willing to debate it with him, it means that his point of view is stronger. And the tragedy is that he was tragically assassinated. And now it seems like they caught the killer. But another side effect of that is that in the media, a lot of people celebrated that. Either private citizens who were saying, oh, it's great, but it's a tragedy. How can you say it's great? The loss of any human being, it's a tragedy, especially if it was political figure. And now we see the movement that a lot of news anchors or people who had their own program on TV, they've been let go or their program's been stopped. ABC is one example like that. They stopped one of the shows because the administration of President Trump, they're saying, look, if you're going to promote hateful speech and you're going to promote people asking other people for violence, then we're going to call off your FCC licenses. FCC is Federal Communication Commission. They're the ones who can give you the right to broadcast your station, or they can recall that license. So now there are a lot of pressure. The Republicans and the right, they're looking at different stations and they're thinking if they can affect it. So what we're seeing is the confrontation, and ideally political confrontation have to be decided by a debate. People on the left will show their point of view. People on the right will show their point of view. And that's another thing. When I'm preparing for the show, those slides for the President Trump second state visit to United Kingdom, part of the slides from the royal family was on Instagram. And I went on Instagram and there are comments from people. And some of the people absolutely hate President Trump. But half of the population of the United States elected him. What does it mean? It means that he offered ideas. He will say that we're going to try to stop wars around the world. We're going to increase prosperity. And people like those ideas. If it wasn't for him, it would be somebody else. But basically, there's a confrontation between ideas, and ideas which were offered by the Democratic Party. Their opponents, they were not as strong, so they lost the election. So this is democracy, like the tradition we inherited from Greece, from Roman Empire, the tradition of democracy. That's how it's done. It's not through violence. Violence is unacceptable. Even like past presidents, like President Obama, President Biden, they said that it's absolutely unacceptable in the United States that people are using violence against their opponents. You don't like their point of view, offer a better one. You want to debate it, fine, but not result into violence. So that's it. These are the topics I wanted to bring today. And again, the focus for us is how it's going to affect you. So you have to take a look that the United States, United Kingdom will be acting as one force throughout the world, and their position will be BRICS countries like China, like Russia, like Global South, and the strengthening artificial intelligence and quantum computing. Protests continue in Europe. Some of them are headed by socialists, like in France, and some of them are headed by traditionalists and kind of like right parties. And the confrontation continues, and unfortunately people are resulting into violence, and I'm hoping that society will be able to overcome it, and instead of using emotions, people will be able to use logic, and will be able to discuss things and come to conclusions based on democratic process, not on this craziness like what people have today. Thank you very much for watching, guys, and I see you next time, and thank you everybody who subscribed, who viewed our channel. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.